going on, everyone? The Eerie Lord is here. Welcome back to another Walking Dead vlog. I know it's been quite a bit of time since we've done anything, really, since I've done anything on my channel, Walking Dead related. But, yeah, I'm still here. Still generally busy these days. And, that was kind of the case with the Negan Maggie series. Certainly, not as engaged with all the channel stuff as much as I used to be. I have other endeavors that I'm trying to, put into motion, mainly regarding my writing. But again, that's something that, I plan to unveil and discuss when the time is right. But for now, we're going to talk about the Daryl Dixon show, which has 2 episodes that have come out. I wanted to do an individual review of each episode, but time and just being busy and commitments kept me from doing that. So I'm going to review both of them together and kind of just give an overview of, the series and, so far what I think of it. I'd say for a Walking Dead show, it's pretty good. I wasn't like blown away, but I also think that it's fairly effective. Really, we don't know how Daryl got to Paris, which is one of the bigger questions that people have. How the hell did he get all the way across the freaking Atlantic Ocean and get to really like southern France? The show doesn't answer. It looks like he was on some sort of cargo ship. Things went wrong, and then he got washed ashore on the boat, and then he's wandering, and eventually comes into contact with a group of nuns who are staying at this church, and there is a kid that they need to bring. It's not really specified. They said north, like a northern camp or something. I don't know if it's scientists or whatever, but something regarding this kid. Now, major spoilers for the first 2 episodes. I will say that. If you've not seen the first 2 episodes, I would avoid this video. But if you have seen both, you'll know the reason why they need to bring this kid, and I'm trying to block this light with my head. The main reason they need to bring the kid is because he is actually one of the first zombie births that we've ever seen. Now, what I mean by this is and they show a whole bunch of flashbacks. Episode 2 is actually really interesting because you actually get to go to right before the apocalypse in France. It's one of the nuns. Actually, no. It's a woman who is staying with the nuns, and the young boy is her nephew because her sister got pregnant, or was pregnant leading up to the apocalypse. So she brings the kid there, and while they're on the road, the mom gets bit by a walker they go to these paramedics, they think, for help, but it's just everything's just overrun. And she gets bit on the arm. They obviously don't know, early days of the apocalypse, they don't know what that means in the context of the walkers. And then she ends up, as she's trying to give birth, turns into very quickly. This might be a record in all of the shows, every single one that they've had within this universe, the fastest someone has ever reanimated. It actually was quicker than Shane in season 2 of the main show, because if you guys remember when Rick stabs Shane, there are a few seconds that go by and then he animates. But in this case, she dies and then she immediately comes back on the operating table. And that's always something I've been curious about. I don't know if the Rick show with the CRM will explore this, or maybe the Daryl show if they get into the scientific nature of it. What determines that? I always felt like if like the dead person had like a lot of unfinished business or based on the emotional state, like they would come back faster. I don't know. I'm not sure really. It just seems random, like what determines it. Like some people, it's like a few hours, days, some are seconds, minutes. Like there doesn't seem to be really a rhyme or reason. I mean, this is a greater universe question that people have wanted to know really since the whole, no matter how you die, you come back. That was revealed at the end of season 2. Rick tells everyone, Jenner found it out. But, I mean, anyone can discover it from just, being in the world. So this kid is still, like, inside her, connected by umbilical cord, and they take they get the baby out while the mom is a freaking walker. And the kid survives because he's like 8, 9 years old. When we catch up to the present day, and they want Daryl to bring him north. And I'm not sure what they're gonna do. Is it gonna be experimentations? I'm not really sure like what the whole end game with it is. Now, I'll tell you exactly what this reminded me of. It reminded me of The Last of Us. and we just, a few months ago, had the HBO showing of The Last of Us, which is based off of the popular video game by Naughty Dog, where it's the same thing with Ellie, that it's revealed in that, if spoilers, but it's revealed in the final episode of The Last of Us in the HBO series. There's a flashback, and it's funny because it's actually the actress who plays Ellie in the video game who portrays the mom. And she gets infected. She gets, like, infected while she's giving birth. It's that same thing where there's, like, a gray area, and it creates this immunity. Now, Ellie is, like, immune, right? Like, there's a bite mark, and, like, she can't get infected. That's confirmed. There's nothing of the sort confirmed in this show. Like, if the kid was to get bit, like, I mean, maybe that's going to come up in an episode where the kid gets bit and then nothing happens. But, I mean, this is exploring some interesting territory here. Because the Negan Maggie series was really just a continuation of the Savior, in a way, kind of like the Savior storyline, the ongoing tension between Negan and Maggie that just, goes on and on and on and on and on. And, by the end of season 1, they're in different situations, but it's like, okay, like, but like this with the Daryl show, you even see the headline there over here. It says, "Hope is not lost." And I guess they're saying that this kid is the hope that, within, he's like something about him. I'm not sure, because there have been a lot of references to the French in the series before. If you remember, Edwin Jenner in the first season talked about the French being the ones who were staying up in the labs trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Was it related to this? I don't know. I don't think so, because this woman was hiding at this church with these nuns. She wasn't really in touch with the scientific community, so I highly doubt that, because it doesn't seem like the larger French population or the remnants of the government sciences, it doesn't feel like anyone knows about this rare immunity. It just seems to be this well-guarded secret amongst the nuns, which, they had a very short a short shelf life. At the end of the first episode, these militants come through and kind of decimate the place. But Daryl gives it right back to them. And then you even see the nuns fighting back with these medieval weapons that they scavenge. I mean, it was actually pretty interesting. I was like, damn, there's a lot of death and destruction. I mean, I guess you got to hit the ground running for your first episode, but it was a pretty nasty way to, just seeing these nuns freaking getting, axed off, and, they've got, like, melee weapons. It's like, damn, like, this is some intense shit. And then we obviously also have the end credit scene for World Beyond, which is the final scene of World Beyond, where a woman breaks into an abandoned facility and is watching tapes by Jenner that Jenner left the French. And this is before his wife died, and interestingly, and they're going back and forth, and then there's some guy that, like, shoots her, and then she turns into one of those smart walkers, the fast walkers, which we see for a few handful of episodes towards the end of season 11. But it really just seemed to be a shoehorned in concept. It really didn't do much of anything. Like, it led to the death of Rosita in the wrap up of the show, and it was just kind of like a gimmick to make the Commonwealth situation, like, were they in peril from super smart walkers? It's just, obviously that show suffered by not having an additional 12th season where you could have expanded Lance's character, connected it to the CRM, you could have dealt with the smart walkers. I've already said this in past vlogs that they were cut short. As seems to be the case. I mean, their ending was certainly more satisfying than something like Game of Thrones, which was completely disappointing. So the thing is, though, like, obviously on the surface, is The Walking Dead copying The Last of Us? Which, I mean, technically The Walking Dead came out before The Last of Us video game. Like, the main show was 2010, the video game was 2013. And I'd have to say that maybe The Last of Us was inspired by The Walking Dead. Like, when Naughty Dog was thinking, they moved on from Jack 4, which, that's a whole other topic. But when they were thinking of what to do, they might have seen, like, oh, The Walking Dead is popular. Zombie apocalypse survival is a cool subgenre that's getting a lot of traction. Let's make a video game in this category. So it's just interesting to see a new spin-off show incorporating a core theme and a core plot point from The Last of Us, and kind of copying it in a way. I'm not trying to, again, make accusations, but it definitely, when I saw this and saw the revelation at the end of episode 2, I was like, oh, yeah, this is kind of like The Last of Us. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the episodes have been entertaining. The flashback scenes to, pre-Paris, before the apocalypse, really cool. It's like, yeah, we're seeing a foreign country for the very first time dealing with the apocalypse. That's a cool thing. But I'm wondering what the end game is, because different from The Last of Us, there is no bite mark or proven immunity to the virus unless that's explored in a later episode. So I'm just curious kind of like what the end game is. And they also did tease another enemy group in the first 2 episodes. The people that were in charge of the freight boat that Daryl escaped from. I was thinking because of the black uniforms that they might have been CRM, but I didn't see the emblem. It doesn't seem like they are. What they could be is the group of scientists that are related to the end scene of World Beyond. That I definitely think there is a crossover connection to. Which would make sense because that scene was basically a teaser to the Daryl Dixon show. It was just like, oh yeah, you'll see this in 2 years, because it was fall of 2021 that final episode of World Beyond aired, and then 2 years later we have the beginning. And so they must have been filming or coming up with the plot of the Daryl Dixon show, and then they probably inserted that. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm not sure if Melissa McBride is going to be in this, because I did see reports that, like, she is actually going to be in it after, apparently, because originally this was going to be the Daryl and Carol spinoff show, remember? Because it was going to be the pairs, Michonne Rick, Negan Maggie, Daryl Carol, and then Melissa McBride dropped off, but then I saw an article that, like, she came back or something, or I don't know how she would be in this, unless Daryl makes it back to the Commonwealth. I don't know. That seems kind of unlikely. Or maybe she goes to find him, but then again, how the hell is she getting to freaking Paris? Like, everyone's got teleporters to fucking Paris. I don't know, but listen, on the surface, the show is really intriguing. The combat's intriguing. I mean, Daryl is, it's Daryl combat, right? Like, he's gonna get out of every possible jam he's in, and he's gonna use badass weapons and badass techniques, and it's thrown a bunch of curveballs. Like, the flashback scenes were cool. Like, it's had enough intriguing concepts where I'm not thinking like, oh, this is just a rehash of The Walking Dead. It's interesting, and they balance the French with the English speaking. As soon as they find out Daryl's not French, they like everyone just has English as a second language. They're like, oh, you don't speak French? Let me, because like if everyone was speaking French and you had subtitles, I guess they're like, well, this is an American audience who might not like that. But it's. I think the balance has been okay. Yeah, I mean, like the characters or the surrounding cast is decent. Like it's not, really it's just the kid and then the aunt who's very guarded and quiet. Those are really the only two I can think of. They encountered this group of kids in the past episode, but like they left the base at the end of the second episode, so it's not anything really to write home about. There is the main villain who like Daryl shot, but the guy escaped. Who kind of almost looks like Negan 2.0, but like not with the same army or anything like Negan. But it seems like this bounty hunter type of guy is going to be one of the primary antagonists. So, we don't know much about him, but he is hot on their trail, and that'll make for, drama and an intriguing watch. So, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about the show. And I'll hopefully continue to make these vlogs when I have time. And I'll see you for more content. Peace out.